Hey, how's it going everyone? This is the unboxing portion for the Flydigi Apex 3 Elite Gaming Controller. So what makes this controller so unique is that this controller has an LED screen, as you can probably see right here. This controller is compatible with a PC and let's see what else it says. PC Android. So yep, this controller is compatible with the PC and Android. So anyway, let's get to unboxing this. So got the box right here. Slide this open for you. I'm gonna set this to the side and let's, oh, is this box, oh, here it is. Flydigi gaming box right here. So let's open and see what's inside. All right, so it looks like the first thing you get is some card that's in Chinese. Some more stuff in Chinese. I guess this probably is a thank you for purchasing the product. It sucks because I can't read Chinese, so bear with me if I can't translate none of this. All right, put the pad out. Huh, you got the controller right here, but first, let's look at the cable. So you get a USB-C to USB-A cable. If you guys can see right here, yep, USB-C to USB-A cable. Set that to the side. If I can get this dongle out. Second thing you get is this dongle, which isn't too big, isn't too small. Yeah, it's a cool dongle. It's a decent size, so get a dongle. Let's go into the side pamphlet and see what you get inside. So you get looks like a, oh, so it looks like a pamphlet with all the different type of Flydigi products that you can purchase. This is the Apex 3 right here. If you guys haven't noticed, I've already got Vader 2 Pro, some wire controls, and they sell earbuds. Interesting. It looks like a cooler fan for the back of your phones, and I don't know what this is. A Feelers P1. Interesting, but set this to the side. All right, so it looks like you got the official, pamphlet, and I dropped something. All right, so it looks like I dropped this key and I dropped, these little screen covers. So that's interesting. You got an official Flydigi pamphlet, which is unfortunately all in Chinese. This is gonna be a doozy. I don't mind instructions being Chinese, but like, you know, like it wouldn't hurt to get like an American pamphlet so that way it'll be easier to figure out how to do all this stuff. Because as of right now, yeah, all in Chinese. So looks like I'm gonna have to figure this stuff out for myself, which is a good reason why I'm making this video, so I can explain everything. And it looks on the back and like, oh, interesting. It's for the Switch and iOS as well. It's not advertised on the box though, so hey, that's cool. So PC, Switch, Android, and iOS. All right, cool. So yep, that's the little pamphlet. And it looks like you get stickers. Cool looking little stickers. I like stickers. I really do. Really cool. So set this to the side. And let's get to the controller. If I can just open this up. See, nothing else. All right, and this is the controller right here. Give you guys a little close up. So this is the ABXY. Look at the back of the controller. You have 4 programmable back buttons in the back. As you can see, they can turn on and off switch right here, where you have a on and off switch you can turn on and off, which is cool. So the D-pad is actually really good. I like this D-pad a lot. It rolls very well. Buttons on the bottom, got an A button. Oh, mechanical. ABXY feels really nice, and the joystick curvature around it feels nice as well. So yeah, triggers feel nice. RB and LB, they feel like regular bumpers, or L1, R1. They just feel like regular bumpers, nothing too special. But, oh, what's also special about this controller is apparently this controller is supposed to have the little force feedback trigger things that's similar to what PlayStation has in their DualSense controllers. So I'm interested in how that works, and I'm curious to see what happens if you turn this on. You will notice that this controller has a little LED on it. So that is pretty much interesting. So yeah, we're gonna do a joystick test, and we're gonna play some video games, and I'm gonna figure out all the features of this controller because we already know that the pamphlet is Chinese, so we got a lot of work to do. So let's get into it. Okay, so I went on to the gamepadtester.com to test out the joysticks of the Flydigi Apex 3 controller, and the first thing you notice is that I have two of these controllers, and there's a reason for that. I really thought there was something wrong with the original controller, which is on the left, and I'm going to show you what I thought was wrong with it. So we're going to turn this controller on. Okay, now that the controller's on, we're going to do a test of the joysticks, and you will see this. This controller, for some reason, the left stick has a 16 to 17% error rate and the right stick has a 7% error rate. So originally, when you usually get your joysticks and you have one that has an abnormal amount of error rate compared to the other one, I was thinking like, oh, there may be something wrong. So of course I went through the Amazon process and I decided to get a replacement controller, which is this one on the right. And you will not believe this when I tested out these joysticks. Okay, so now that I got the right joystick turned on, testing out these joysticks. The one on the right also has a 15 to 16% error rate and an 8.3% error rate on the right stick. So the fact that I got this back to back with both of these controllers is kind of weird, and this just lets me know that Flydigi has some extremely inaccurate joysticks, especially for the left joystick for some reason. Now, I don't know why this is, but this is kind of a letdown for a controller that is supposed to be $120. Like $120, I expect more accurate joysticks than this. So yeah, well anyway, let's move on as I return one of these controllers, and let's move on with the review. So now we're going to talk about the button combination and the LED screen on this controller. So we're going to turn this controller on. Once you turn this controller on and it connects to your dongle, or if you have a wire connection, you'll notice that you have this little blue avatar that is not Sanic. This is actually Flydigi's little bird avatar. What's so cool about this bird avatar is that when you start pushing buttons, he actually starts pulling off combos, and if you push it fast enough, he will do this like little fire shuriken 3-piece combo thing, which is pretty cool. Oh, and also if you notice on the left hand side of the screen, this will actually be your battery life, the type of connection you have, and also the profile of your controller. So the controller supports 4 different custom profiles for the force triggers and the back buttons on it. You can actually switch between the 4 profiles by holding the select button and pressing A, B, X, or Y. As you can see, you see the number at the very bottom right switches from 1 through 4. So that indicates which profile you are on. And there's also another cool thing about this controller with the home button. So if you actually hold the home button for 3 seconds, you actually open up this menu on the controller. So unfortunately, the menu is going to be in Chinese. There's no way to make it into English, but it's okay because I'm going to have it somewhere on the screen. I'm going to have the English translation. We're going to go through all of the menu screen. So the first thing in the upper left hand corner is model. If you select model, you'll see that you have X input, D input, switch Bluetooth mode, Android Bluetooth mode, Bluetooth mode /P, which I'm not 100% sure what that is for, and Bluetooth iOS mode. And unfortunately, there is no Bluetooth mode for PC. I tried. Every time I hook this controller up through Bluetooth Android mode, it just is seen as a mouse for some crazy reason. Not understand why, but for PC, you do have to use a dongle or a dual wire connection, which is a little unfortunate, but yeah, that kind of sucks. Also, if you go to the upper middle part of the controller, you will have the configure. Configure will actually let you switch between the 4 profiles. If this camera will learn how to focus, bear with me, but these are the 4 profiles, and this is another way to switch between the 4 profiles without holding the select button and pressing A, B, X, Y. But honestly, I prefer that mode better because it's just a lot quicker. All right, so going back. This on this side of the menu is a brightness, so you actually can control the brightness of the screen if you want to make it really bright,
Or to make it really dark, I keep mine really dark because I really don't need a bright screen and I want to preserve battery life as much as possible. So this right here is a pairing mode. And I guess this is for you to pair your controller with a dongle, or I guess if you lose a dongle and you get another one, you'll be able to pair it no problem. And it really doesn't do much. So anyway, let's actually open this back up and we're going to go to the bottom middle. So the bottom middle is about the about, which is basically the firmware of your controller, the firmware of the dongle, and of course the website with the www.flydigi.com. And this is the help one where you have a QR code which you scan, which will basically open up a manual on your phone about all the instructions on how to use this controller. But yeah, that is all the button combinations for this controller, and I do like this little birdie, Flydigi bird, doing shuriken combos all day. There is another thing I actually want to talk about this controller. So if you notice on this strip right here, you'll see this LED strip. Believe it or not, you can actually switch this out with some of these other strips right here with using this strip and helping with this key. So if you want to get to this, you actually can pull off the D-pad. Is the first thing you'd pull off. And then you can actually pry on the side. You can use your prying tool or use your nails. Probably wouldn't recommend that, but as you see, the front plate's holding by a magnet. And also another thing too is you can actually take off and add on the sticks too. So I'm kind of curious if Flydigi have multiple sticks for these controllers. But going back to the LED, once I get this on. Okay, now I got the stick back on. You can actually, well, first let me turn off this controller. So you can actually pull off this strip and you can put in one of these strips and actually use the key to like sketch out like a name or some letters. For me, I sketched out my gamer tag because I was like, oh, let me give this a try. And you can slide it in, put the plate on, put the D-pad back on, of course. Make sure that everything is working correctly. Turn the controller on, and now you got your own little custom little LED name. It's just something small, but I actually find this kind of cool, and I'm really curious to see if there's like a little specialty artist out there that could probably sketch something like spectacular in this thing. But for me, having this little nabs thing is actually cool enough for me. So it's just something cool I wanted to point out with this controller. So if you do decide to get this controller for your Android phone, there's also an app that's compatible with this controller called the Flydigi Gaming Center app, which you can get off the Play Store. So once you connect your controller to your phone and have the app downloaded, you are able to update the current gamepad firmware, and also you're able to customize the lighting of the controller. But there's also another cool thing you can do with the controller. If you connect your controller to your Android phone using the Bluetooth Flash P mode or Flash Play mode rather than Android mode, you are able to play games on Android phones that normally don't support controllers with your Apex 3 controller, such as Genshin Impact. And this is actually a cool feature, but this is just something I wanted to point out for people who decide to get this controller for mobile phones. Just like all other Flydigi controllers, this controller is compatible with the Flydigi Space desktop app. So just like what you could do on the app, you can configure all 4 profiles. Within the profiles, you can configure the LED light. You're able to map all of the buttons, including the 4 back buttons, and you also can set macros for the 4 back buttons if you want. You can control the joystick curvature of the left joystick and the right joystick if you want. You can control the gyro sense of this controller, and you also can make it where the gyro sense can have a response button, so that way if you want to hold a button down, it will activate gyro for you, and then when you release the button, it will stop doing gyro functions. And what's also unique about this controller is that you have force feedback triggers. So similar to the L2 and R2 on the DualSense controller, you actually can set this controller to have feedback for whenever you push the trigger. So say for instance, I set the left trigger to auto shoot mode. So every time I push down the left trigger, it gives force feedback as if I'm shooting an automatic gun. You also can make it set it for racing if you want, and you also can set it for sniper, where you can push it down a little bit and then you have to pass the gear just to get that shot to go through. And this is actually a really cool thing because this adds a lot more immersion to video games, and you can set it up yourself if you like. So another thing you could do with the force feedback adaptive triggers, is that for certain games that are listed right here, you can install the mod pack, and this will actually make the game work with the force feedback trigger. So say for instance, you don't have to set anything manually. Like if you're driving a car, the force feedback will adjust to the car. If you're shooting an automatic gun, it will adjust to an automatic gun. If you're shooting like a semi-auto gun or a sniper rifle, it would adjust automatically. And these mod packs are actually pretty easy to install, and it actually adds a much more immersion to a game than like as if you're playing these games on the PlayStation 5 with a DualSense controller. So this is actually a really cool thing, and I really hope that they open this up to the mod community so that way they can add more games to this list, because I would love to see more games with these triggers in mind. You can also customize the display screen on the controllers. So with the display screen, you can actually, if you want, you can keep the Flydigi bird, or you can upload your own custom GIF that is 160 by 80, or you can put one of the mini videos on that is displayed here onto the controller, which is actually really cool. And also a fair warning, there are some videos or some little GIF videos that I can't show. It looks like Flydigi has a little bit of an adult humor. So just fair warning, if you get this controller and download this app, you may see some more adult jokes. So just to give you a heads up. Okay, so after using this controller for a month to a month and a half, I have to say I really do like this controller. Overall, the LED screen on the controller is really cool, and it actually adds cool that you can have like a little bit of a customization by adding your own GIFs to the screen, even though I do think it's a little bit more gimmicky, but it's a cool thing that they have. The D-pad on this controller is really, really impressive. Like the way how my finger rolls on this D-pad is like, I don't know, it just feels so good, and I actually enjoy using this D-pad. The controller also is really cool by giving you all those elite features that you get from all the elite controllers, with the 4 back buttons, the 4 different profiles that you can switch between, and the gyro functions to help you aim down sights or to play for racing games. So yeah, that's controller is really decent as far as like one of those pro/elite controllers. And the force feedback triggers is actually a really unique thing that allows you to add a level of immersion to certain games that you normally won't have immersion to. And it's kind of cool that PC players can have that level of immersion with the force feedback triggers, just like how the PlayStation people have their force feedback triggers for their PlayStation games. The only downside I really see with this controller is the fact that the left joystick is more inaccurate compared to the right joystick. Now, I don't know why that is, but I actually got that back to back. So maybe Flydigi, why? Just explain. So overall, for the Flydigi Apex 3 controller, I would give this controller a solid 8 out of 10. It is honestly a solid controller, and I will recommend this controller more so if you're looking for immersion rather than like an elite/controller, because I will admit that there are better elite controllers out there, but if you want a controller with the force feedback triggers and want to add a level of immersion to your video games, then yes, I do recommend the Flydigi Apex 3 controller. Okay, now that was a long review. If you guys made it this far in the video, you guys clearly like this video, so you might as well hit that like button for me. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also welcome to 2023. Happy New Year. I really do enjoy making these controller reviews, and for 2023, I definitely am going to make some changes to the channel. Don't worry, you're still going to get your controller reviews, but I'm also going to add some other things and upgrade some things so that way you guys can have a better experience watching my videos. So hit that notification bell while you're at it to let you guys know the next video that I post, and until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.